Welcome. You're here now. Let the day fall away, like the sun sinking low over the Euphrates. Tonight we're going somewhere ancient, older than pyramids, older than Rome. A place built not of stone, but of mud and memory. Ancient Babylon, the cradle of writing, law, and cities. A land of brick and heat, of reeds and kings, where time moved slowly with the river. So breathe. Let the world around you dissolve. There is nothing you need to do, no decisions to make, no questions to answer. Just listen. Let the quiet murmur of history wrap around you like the hush of wind through palm fronds. Let the rhythms of ancient life lull you gently toward rest. And if you drift off, that's perfectly fine. The past will keep going without you. So now, imagine yourself beneath a sky the color of baked clay, standing in the dust of one of the first cities the world ever knew. You are barefoot. Your hands are cracked. The sun is just rising and your work has already begun. Segment 1. Why it sucked to be a brickmaker in Babylon. Live your day as a sunburnt laborer hauling mud bricks and reeds, dodging overseers and sleeping on woven mats. Imagine yourself, not as a king nor a scribe, not even a merchant. You are a brickmaker. Not the kind who owns a kiln, no. You are a worker of clay, a laborer, one among many. It is early morning in Babylon. The sky is pale, dust-colored. The air is already warm and you know it will only get hotter. You rise from your mat, little more than a reed blanket woven with age, and step out into the open. There is no door, just a hanging cloth. The walls around you are baked mud, the roof thatched and uneven. Your home is as temporary as the seasons, and it leaks during the rains. The streets are narrow, packed with the scent of yesterday's cooking smoke and the sharp tang of drying dung used for fuel. Chickens wander freely. A goat cries in the distance. Everything feels lived in, but tired. Your hands are stained. They never really come clean. Clay gets into your skin, your nails, even the creases of your elbows. Your work site is beside the river, a thick ribbon of life known as the Euphrates. There, teams of men squat in the shallow water, mixing mud with straw and sand. You join them. The clay is warm from the sun, cool from the water, soft and stubborn. You knead it like dough, but it fights back. Overseers with sticks call out in Akkadian. You don't always understand their words. Your tongue is of a smaller village, swallowed up by the city. But you understand the tone. Work faster. No talking. Lift more. Haul again. You shape bricks with wooden molds. Press in the wet clay. Tap the edges. Lift. Turn out. Lay flat in the sun. Over and over and over. By midday, your back aches. The sun is directly overhead. There is no shade, only your headscarf, damp with sweat. Your arms are streaked with river silt. The reeds you use to bind bundles scratch your skin. Flies swarm. Still, you keep working. There is no choice. You are part of something massive, the very skin of Babylon. Every wall, every ziggurat, every temple is built on the backs of men like you. And still the bricks come. Some are destined for the city's outer walls, impossibly thick, layered in tar and pride. Others will line the canals or become the foundation for homes of people you will never meet. You will never be remembered for this. There are no monuments for brickmakers. Your break is brief. A sip of warm water from a shared jug. A flat cake of barley, dry and chewy. You chew slowly, looking out at the haze rising from the fields. Insects buzz in the reeds. Then back to work. You are careful now. One man was beaten last week for letting a brick crack in the sun. You saw the welts. You looked away. That's the rhythm here. See less. Speak less. Move more. As dusk approaches, the temperature drops slightly. The air smells of baked earth and ash. Your muscles ache in a dull, familiar way. No energy remains for talk. You return home. Your children sleep already, curled beside your wife. You lie beside them, one hand resting on your stomach, the other still crusted in dried mud. Above you, through a hole in the roof, stars begin to appear. Soft, distant, unconcerned. Your world is small, but heavy with effort. You close your eyes, and the city breathes on. The fall of Babylon. How one night changed everything. A slow unraveling of how Babylon was taken by Cyrus the Great, without a battle, yet marked the end of a world. Let us move forward now, past the long days of laborers and the gentle lull of reed-scented evenings, into the quieter corridors of history, the ones lined not with bricks, but with silence. Because every great city, no matter how powerful, eventually meets its nightfall. And Babylon, the mighty city of Ishtar, of hanging gardens and god-kings, would fall, but not with a roar, not with flames, no screaming mobs, no siege engines at the gate. Instead, imagine it falling, like a sandcastle at high tide, gently, quietly, in the dark. It is the year 539 BCE. The air in Babylon is heavy, not just with heat, but with tension. There are rumors, low and crackling like dry reeds in the wind. Cyrus, king of Persia, is marching west. To some, this is distant news. The Persians are far, beyond the hills, past the deserts, on the edge of what feels like imagination. But for others, the news settles in the stomach like a stone. Nabonidus, the last Babylonian king, is absent from the city. He has long preferred the desert, spending years in exile, consumed by strange religious reforms. The people whisper, he worships Sin, the moon god, more than Marduk, patron of Babylon. In a city where gods are woven into mortar, such choices carry weight. So imagine yourself now as a resident of Babylon in those final days. You might be a priest, watching temple attendance drop, or a merchant uncertain whether to store grain or sell it quickly, or perhaps just a washerwoman overhearing things, half-truths carried through the courtyard like drifting incense. And then one night, the Persians arrive, not with catapults, not with walls collapsing or sky afire, but through the river. You see, Babylon had walls that could not be breached, high, wide, impenetrable, but rivers. Rivers have their own quiet logic. Cyrus, brilliant and patient, ordered his men to divert the flow of the Euphrates. Slowly, methodically, the riverbed that passed under the city walls began to dry. Not completely, just enough. And under the cover of night, Persian soldiers walked into Babylon. They came not like thunder. They came like footsteps on soft earth. By the time dawn rose, the city was his. Not a single known battle. Not a single torch lit in anger. There are cuneiform records that describe it not as a conquest, but as a transition. Some Babylonians even welcomed Cyrus, believing him to be chosen by Marduk himself. The temples were untouched. The markets opened the next day. Life continued, but something had shifted. Imagine being a child on that morning. You rise to the smell of lentils boiling and the cry of roosters, just like always. You walk with your mother to the river, noticing new uniforms on the guards. They speak with unfamiliar accents. They are calm, polite even, but different. And slowly, Babylon begins to change. Cyrus introduces new policies. He frees certain enslaved peoples, even allowing the exiled Jews to return to Jerusalem. There is less focus on traditional Babylonian gods. The influence of Persia, of new gods, new customs, begins to seep in. Not all at once, not loudly, but steadily, like water rising between stones. Over the years, Babylon would fade from being the center of the world to merely a city, still large, still alive, but no longer the heartbeat of Mesopotamia. The hanging gardens, if they ever truly existed, would wilt. The ziggurats would crumble. Clay bricks would break beneath time's heel. And so Babylon, the city of wonders, did not fall with a scream. It exhaled. It was not conquered. It was replaced. Even now, as you rest, you can imagine walking through its silent streets. A temple door half open, A priest gazing skyward, unsure which god still listens. A scribe dipping his stylus into ink, unsure which king's name to write. Time moves forward. Empires rise and fade. And Babylon, once louder than thunder, is now just a whisper in the dust. Explore the famous basalt stele, its brutal fairness, and how ancient legal systems operated in minute detail. Let the quiet of night deepen around you. Let your breath slow. Now imagine, you're standing beneath a black stone column. It's smooth, cold to the touch, and impossibly tall, taller than a man. And etched into its dark surface are words, thousands of them, not written in flowing script, but carefully pressed wedge by wedge, line by line, in cuneiform, a language carved in angles. This is not poetry, not a prayer. This is law, the Code of Hammurabi, carved over 3,700 years ago. Not in a courtroom, but on a slab of polished basalt, and placed where all could see it. At the very top of this pillar stands an image, Hammurabi himself, arms folded, receiving a rod and ring from Shamash, the sun god and deity of justice. The implication is clear. These laws are not merely royal decrees, they are divine order. And beneath this celestial handshake, 282 laws unfold, like a slow rhythm of control and consequence. You might expect something vague or philosophical, but Hammurabi was not interested in abstraction. His code is strikingly specific. If a man builds a house for another, and the house collapses and causes the owner's death, the builder shall be put to death. If it causes the death of the owner's son, the builder's son shall be put to death. It is, by modern standards, harsh. By ancient standards, detailed, structured, clear. This was not chaos. It was control. A blueprint for how society should function, down to the last ox and eye. And yet, within the severity there was logic. Justice to Hammurabi meant balance. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Now imagine you are a Babylonian trader. You've just returned from a long journey, your donkey cart laden with barley and textiles. You find your neighbor has flooded your grain storage while repairing his canal. What do? You don't argue in the street. You go to the elders, the local judges, and they consult the law. If a man neglects to strengthen his dike and the water breaks through, flooding another man's field, he must pay compensation in grain. It's all there, carved, permanent. There is no trial by sword, no arbitrary punishment. The code, though firm, offers clarity. In a world of uncertainty, of drought, war, shifting kings, there is comfort in the stone. But justice was not blind. The punishments differed by class. A noble who struck a noble might pay a fine. A noble who struck a slave? Different outcome. The code reflects a world of hierarchy, of men and women, of free men and slaves, of property and price. Even marriages were defined by contract. If a man wishes to divorce a woman who has borne him children, he must return her dowry and provide for her. There are rules for adoption, inheritance, debts, and dowries, all woven into the stone like a net meant to hold the fabric of society together. Imagine yourself now, not as a ruler but as a scribe. You sit beside the basalt pillar in the city square. The sun moves slowly above you, casting sharp shadows across the carved letters. A man approaches, a farmer, clutching a broken tool and a complaint. You listen, then point to a section of the code. He squints at it. He cannot read, but you can. So you read it aloud, not because the words are yours, but because the stone speaks for everyone. And though Hammurabi's laws are long silent, their echo never stopped. Later cultures would borrow from them. Echoes of these codes appear in Moses's laws, in Roman civil codes, even in modern ideas of retribution and fairness. But the original still stands, not in Babylon, but in the Louvre Museum in Paris. There, under soft lighting, the black pillar rests, surrounded by quiet footsteps and careful glances, still intact, still legible. The rhythm of ancient justice, captured not in flame or ink, but in stone. So as you lie still, drifting further into rest, know that even in the dust of time, the need for justice, for order, for balance, has always whispered beneath the surface. It whispered in Babylon, and it whispers still. Inside a priest-king's court, cushioned in incense and secrecy, walk softly through the upper echelons of Babylonian society. Now, let the city slow even further. You've heard the rhythm of daily life. You've walked beside laborers, watched empires fall, and listened to laws etched in stone. Now, step quietly. The air is perfumed. The floor beneath your feet is polished stone, cooled by shade and woven mats. You are entering the hush of privilege, the inner chambers of Babylonian power, a place where sandals tread softly and voices rarely rise. Imagine yourself now, in the court of a priest-king. Not a palace of gold, and no. Babylonian grandeur was subtle. Walls of painted mud brick, pillars carved with celestial signs, and courtyards where water glistens in clay basins beneath fluttering palms. There is no roaring court, no trumpet of announcement. Instead, incense drifts through the air. Frankincense, myrrh, thick with the sweetness of foreign lands. Soft chimes ring as a servant walks past, her footsteps barely a whisper. The priest-king sits not on a throne, but upon a raised platform cushioned with woven fabrics, beneath an embroidered canopy that shields him from the midday heat. His robes are simple, but finely dyed, deep indigo, fringed with bronze thread. On his head, a rounded cap adorned with the symbol of Marduk. In his hands, not a scepter, but a clay tablet. Because here, in the upper world of Babylon, power lies not in swords, but in knowledge, ritual, and alignment with the divine. You may wonder, who ruled Babylon? Unlike later empires, Babylon blurred the lines between divine and earthly leadership. The king was not simply a warlord or governor, he was the high priest, mediator between mortals and gods. His court, a sanctuary as much as a seat of power. And around him, a world of quiet function. There are scholars, men with ink-stained hands and weary eyes, copying omens and star charts. There are priests, pouring libations, chanting hymns in low, resonant tones. There are scribes, record keepers, treasurers, and emissaries, all part of the intricate machinery of state. And the women of the court, not passive figures, but active players in the rituals of power. Some are priestesses, keepers of sacred flame, guardians of temple rites. Others oversee vast estates, supervise textile production, and advise in political marriages. In the shadows always are the servants, moving like mist, fanning the air, pouring cool water, tending to comfort without being seen. Now imagine a day in court. It begins before the sun rises, because ritual must precede governance. The priest-king enters the temple. He bathes in blessed water, dons ceremonial robes, and kneels before the statue of Marduk. He offers bread, oil, and incense. He recites invocations, each syllable memorized from youth. Only after the gods are honored, may the city's business begin. In this court, decisions are weighed slowly. An envoy from the Elamites presents a gift, finely carved ivory. A dispute between two landowners is heard, each clutching boundary stones and maps drawn in soot. A tablet arrives from a border town, a report of wolves seen near a grain caravan. The priest-king listens. He consults with advisors. He does not rush. Because in Babylonian belief, haste is the enemy of wisdom, and everything, every decision, must echo the will of the heavens. Night falls slowly in the palace. Servants light clay lamps filled with sesame oil. The courtyard glows softly. Musicians pluck lyres in the background, playing songs older than memory. You walk through the shaded halls, past walls inscribed with stories of creation. Gilgamesh, Enkidu, the flood. And in a chamber beyond, the priest-king sits with his astrologers. They speak in murmurs about Mars rising in the east, of eclipses, of omens read from sheep livers and bird flights. Their words seem strange to modern ears, but to them the stars are not distant. They are the script of destiny. And yet, even in this cloistered world of privilege and ritual, life is not without fear. A drought threatens harvest. The river floods a little higher this year. An omen is unclear. The priest-king carries the weight of gods and people, and though his robes are perfumed and his food is sweet, his dreams are restless, because power, true power, means being watched by eyes both mortal and divine. Now, let us leave him. Let the lamps dim. Let the court grow quiet. Step away from the canopy, past the columns, through the garden where figs hang heavy and bees drone softly. You return to the outside world where clay meets sandal, and night gathers gently around the city. Babylon still breathes, but its pulse is slower now. You have walked its streets, felt its laws, witnessed its fall, and stood among its priests. Now, rest. Let the ancient city fade gently into the hush of dreams. You've traveled far tonight, but not with your feet. You've wandered through the heat-hazed streets of Babylon, where brickmakers shaped the city with calloused hands and sweat. You've watched an empire fall not with fire, but with footsteps in the dark. You've listened to justice etched into black stone and drifted through incense-sweetened halls where gods and kings shared breath. All of it, dust now, but not forgotten. Babylon is gone. Its walls, once towering above the plain, are broken, its palaces and temples scattered by time, its gods quiet, but the marks it left are deep, in the way we write, in the way we judge, in the way we organize our days and seek meaning in the stars. Traces remain, not just in museums or textbooks, but in the quiet architecture of thought. Even now, when you hear the steady beat of law, or see bricks laid one by one in a wall, Babylon hums beneath. And maybe that's why we remember. Not for the battles, not for the kings, but for the rhythm of their lives, the same rhythm that beats in yours. Wake, work, rest, wonder. A child laughing beside a dusty path, a baker counting his loaves, a scribe scratching at a tablet until the oil lamp burns low. So different, yet so familiar. Now, as your breath slows, and your limbs grow heavier beneath your blanket, let the ancient world slip gently from your mind. There is no need to hold on. History remembers for you. Let the bricks settle. Let the reeds sway in the breeze of the Euphrates. Let the stars wheel slowly over the city that once was. And you are safe, warm, still. The rhythm of your breath is all that remains. Sleep now.